concept of freedom in Attack on Titan is shown as a double-edged sword, something fiercely sought after and tragically elusive. In a world so brutal and unforgiving, people have their freedoms taken away from them. But what happens when the very people who crave freedom are bowed by the chains they wish to break? Today we will be exploring the complex struggles for freedom through the characters of Eren and Zeke and the conflicts between their ideologies, posing the fundamental question that I think Attack on Titan is trying to ask us: is freedom possible?
これが自由だ!
First, we'll explore Eren's complex journey on his path to freedom. Eren's perspective on freedom evolves over the series, but it is constantly rooted in self-determination and breaking boundaries, both physical and emotional. Initially, Eren desires freedom from the walls, which acts as the literal barrier between him and the outside world. The idea that there is more to the world is rooted in Eren's childlike curiosity, which is encouraged by Armin through his books. In the first episode, when Eren and Mikasa see the Survey Corps back from one of their failed expeditions, Eren looks on them as heroes, willing to risk their lives for the sake of humanity. This admiration is clear when he expresses his desire to join the Survey Corps and fight the Titans head-on, which is rejected by Mikasa and Eren's mum, as it is too dangerous for him. However, for Eren, he believes a life inside the walls is no life, and he is ready to fight for his freedom, even if he must die for it.
どうして外に出たいんだ？
知りたいんだ。外の世界がどうなっているのか。何も知らずに一生壁の中で過ごすなんて嫌だ。それに、ここで誰も続く人がいなかったら、今までに死んだ人たちの命が無駄になる!
At the end of the first episode, when Eren's mum gets eaten by a titan and his home gets destroyed, Eren's desire to escape the walls grows even stronger, and his hatred for the first enemy of humanity, the Titans, become the catalyst to break free from the Titans, showing the belief of freedom through struggle. Later, when Eren trains for the Survey Corps, we can see his distaste of people who are willing to sacrifice their freedom for an easier life, and that is shown with his beef with Jon and the military police. Jon initially mocks Eren's determination to join the Survey Corps, calling it an idealistic dream. He is dismissive of Eren's desire to fight the Titans, seeing it as naive and dangerous. For Jon, the idea of risking his life in a battle he feels is hopeless does not seem like the right choice. He is more concerned about finding a way to live comfortably without putting himself in unnecessary danger. To Eren, that kind of living in relative comfort and ignorance from the Titans is cowardice, and someone who is not willing to fight for their freedom, even if it is detriment to their safety, is a slave to the system. This view is foreshadowed later into the series. After joining the Survey Corps, Eren immediately discovers what it means to fight against the Titans, taking away his freedom of leaving the walls. I want to highlight the battle against the female Titan. When the Survey Corps discovers that the female Titan is hunting Eren and is running after Squad Levi to capture him, Levi orders Eren to not turn into a Titan and put his trust in his captain. Eren, as a rebellious figure at the start of the story, seems initially dismissive of Levi, thinking that he could use his attack Titan to fight off the female Titan. In the end, considering Eren's still unreliable abilities in wielding his Titan power, Eren obliges. Unfortunately, Squad Levi gets wiped out, and Eren is left with the guilt that he could have stopped this. This event alludes to the motif of choice seen with Eren, and if he has any choice to stop future events like the rumbling. Eren now believes, with his new acquired power, he has to trust his gut instinct to make decisions and take initiative. Now, I want to talk about, in my opinion, the most pivotal moment that shapes Eren's belief of freedom, touching historia's hand. Now, this bit is difficult to understand, but hear me out. Through the combined powers of Eren's founding Titan and Historia's royal blood, Eren was able to look into his father's memories. Attack Titan users can't see their own future, only the future of future inheritors. The only way to see their own future is by seeing past inheritors' memories. So by inheriting his father's memories, Eren would see everything like the rumbling and Marley's declaration of war. Why couldn't Eren change the future to stop these events? Eren saw the future and saw it as the best course to save his people. This theory contradicts with his conversation with Armin at the end of the series, where his true feelings are seen. All he ever wanted to do was to stay with Mikasa, suggesting Eren used the idea of freedom to delude himself and continue his predetermined future. In reality, Eren is not free and was never free. He is bound by the chains of the predetermined future and the lack of vision to change it. Eren's desperation to find a different method other than the rumbling is seen with his interaction with Hanji in his cell. Eren, even though shouting is desperate for a different answer, he does not want to kill the outside world. Now, after reaching the basement, Eren sees freedom in a more political sense, in an escape from the powers of the world after realizing who the real enemy is. Learning that the nation of Mali has oppressed his people as a result of thousands of years of war, Eren's goals shifts from killing the Titans to protecting his friends and the island of Paradis. His unapologetic view of the fight for freedom is best shown with his interaction with Ryla. This quote suggests Eren has already set his sights on the memories he's seen of the future and is convinced it will result in the protection of his friends and his people through the killing of Mali's military at the cost of innocent civilians and later the whole world through its rumbling. Eren moves from seeking individual freedom to imposing his will on the world to protect his people. The irony is that by seeking this freedom, he has enslaved millions of people, highlighting the juxtaposition of his journey. Eren had to sacrifice his humanity to manipulate his friends to try to stop him. Eren's declaration of hatred towards Mikasa during the Mali arc is possibly the most upsetting event and explores Eren's internal struggle.
Eren!
Eren is trying to distance himself from them emotionally and make them hate him, hoping that it will break the emotional bond between them and prevent them from stopping his actions. Eren even goes as far as to say that the only reason Mikasa is so obsessed with Eren's safety is because it's biologically programmed in her, as she possesses Ackerman blood, and the events at the cavern when Mikasa lost her parents and Eren saved her leads to the compulsion to protect him. Further to Mikasa, Armin launches and Eren beats Armin, mirroring the way Eren used to fight Armin's bullies, highlighting how far gone he's become. This shows that for Eren, freedom is now tied to violence, control, and enormous sacrifice, with little regard for the consequences of others, even the people close to him. Zeke is one of the most fascinating characters in Attack on Titan, as the clear antagonist in the beginning. As we learn his backstory, we get to sympathize and understand the choices he's made, which at its crux is the beauty of the whole show. There isn't a standalone villain in the story. Everyone's trauma is so life-changing and universal that their choices cannot be considered evil. Zeke's early life under Mali and his interactions with his parents played a huge role in shaping his understanding of freedom, but his ultimate vision was far more nuanced and less extreme than what Eren eventually pursued. Zeke is a fatalist, believing that human beings are inherently flawed and the cycle of war will never end as humans are programmed to fight against each other. This belief came from a deeply troubled past where we could infer that Zeke himself wished he was rather not born. He projects this view into the people of Paradis and the euthanization project. Zeke portrays himself as an anti-natalist. For those unaware, anti-natalists believe that the birth of a sentient life is morally wrong. Advocates of antinatalism believe that life inherently involves suffering and that it is better not to procreate to prevent the potential pain and harm that a new life might experience. Zeke's experiences lead him to shape his morals. Zeke was raised by his parents, Grisha and Dina, who were Eldian restorationists, fighting for the liberation of Eldians from Mali's oppression. Grisha wanted Zeke to carry on his mission of freeing Eldians, even pressuring Zeke into becoming a warrior candidate for Mali's military so he could infiltrate their ranks. Unfortunately for Grisha, the Malian police were already closing in on the Eldian restorationists. Zeke, overhearing this, asked Mr. Cassava for ideas, where he said he could only betray his parents. Zeke ultimately betrayed his parents to the Malian authorities, leading to their arrest and eventual execution. Zeke had no other choice, as he would have been punished to death. This event traumatized Zeke and marked a significant shift in his thinking, where self-preservation became his priority over ideals like freedom or rebellion. It is known that Zeke would have also been sent to become a Titan, so this was the only way he could have survived. Later on, Zeke came to believe that Eldians were trapped in a hopeless cycle. In his eyes, the only way for Eldians to ever truly be free was to put an end to the hatred and fear that the world had for them. However, this freedom wasn't about fighting for revenge or a violent rebellion against Marley. Instead, Zeke came to the conclusion that true freedom for Eldians could only come through the end of Eldian oppression entirely. When playing his routine game of catch with Mr. Xava, Zeke thought of the only way to stop the cycle of war. Zeke's radical solution was euthanizing the Eldian race by adding the ability for Eldians to have children. He believed that Eldians will never truly be free as long as they continue to have the power of the Titans, because their existence created a constant threat to the rest of the world. He wanted to use the founding Titans' power, which he hoped to access through Eren, to sterilize all Eldians, effectively putting an end to the cycle of hatred and preventing future generations of Eldians from becoming weapons of destruction. It is important to state that Grisha treated Zeke much less like a son, but more like a tool of war, only interested in how his son could help the Eldian cause, never treating him like a son. As a consequence, Zeke does not understand what it means to have and raise children. He doesn't grasp the bond that most parents possess with their offspring and perceives children simply as the continuation of a bloodline. Zeke believes his plot to sterilize Eldians through the founding Titan is a perfect, peaceful solution to end war, because he's psychologically incapable of seeing how barbaric and cruel the euthanization truly is.
世界を救う時はお前と一緒だ
Regardless of who you think is right, you must understand why the perspectives of Zeke and Eren are the way they are. It's true that Zeke's euthanization plan would have caused less deaths, but if you were Eren, can you really kill off the Eldians after all the fighting to achieve autonomy from the Titans and now the nations of the world? Would that make all those deaths in vain? It is impossible to see Eren say yes to Zeke's ideas, and this was foreshadowed during one of Eren's meetings with Zeke when he missed the ball. Looking at Zeke's face, it was clear from the beginning that Zeke also knew this, but it was the only chance. Eren's philosophy of freedom has always been rooted in the idea of fighting for survival and liberation, particularly for the Eldian people. For us, it is clear that Eren would never agree to the euthanization plan, which was fundamentally at odds with Eren's belief in fighting for survival. Eren saw this as a form of giving up. To him, life and freedom were about fighting, even if it meant violent, extreme measures. Zeke's plan represented a fatalist surrender that was completely antithetical to Eren's own values of defiance, perseverance, and freedom through power. At the climax of Eren and Zeke's conflict when in the paths, Zeke made the same mistake as his father by forcing Ymir to follow his will as he has royal blood, the same way Grisha did not take Zeke's perspective. Zeke in this moment is parallel to the king, who views Ymir as a tool and a slave. Meanwhile Eren, a person without royal blood, treats her with the humanity she never got. This shows Eren understands Ymir's suffering, and he gives Ymir a choice on whether she wants to break free from the years of exploitation. This was the first time anyone had shown her any bit of empathy, and she was deeply moved by his words, as this was the first time in her long existence had anyone given her a choice. Though some have said that this is Eren manipulating her to get what he wants, I would personally disagree. Evidence against this is the genius symbolism in the scene where he breaks off the chains. The specific detail of Eren breaking free by removing his thumb, which is symbolic of his ability to turn into a Titan as he constantly bites his thumb for activation, is a detail that Eren came to Ymir as a person, not as a Titan shifter. This shows that Eren's intentions were not to use Ymir, but to show her freedom. I think the point was to explore how freedom is unattainable without some sort of sacrifice. Both Eren and Zeke wanted to either sacrifice other people's freedoms for themselves or for the greater good. In terms of philosophical ideologies, Eren displays beliefs of determinism. To give an example, if the universe operates under determinism, everything in the future is the inevitable result of past events. In this case, seeing the future does not change it because the future is already set based on the present and the past. Any action you take after seeing the future would already be part of the predetermined chain of events that leads to the future. To put it simply, for the future to happen, you had to have seen the future. As with Eren, seeing the future made him aware of a certain path that he chose because of the lack of an alternative that will save his friends and the Eldians. If Eren truly operated by free will, he would have not been bound by the future he saw. This is why Eren is not free. While Zeke was confined by his beliefs from the start after his tragic childhood, Zeke never got to finish the euthanasia plan, which may have saved the world. He was forced to proceed with the rumbling, which Eren did not want to proceed with himself. thank you for watching this video. I want to make more videos in this analytical style more. So if you enjoyed this style, leave a like, and if you have any questions that need answering, or any characters or themes or any shows you'd want me to explore, leave a comment down below and I'll sure make a video on it. Anyway, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed the rest of the day. See ya.